Hey everybody, welcome back to Nifilmism. I'm Ryan.
I'm Drew.
And we've been on a little bit of a hiatus. We recorded a few episodes over the last few weeks. One we lost to technical issues. One we decided we wanted to wait for a third mic, and the other was just
Lost to our own incompetence.
Trash. It's the worst thing that happened to Blade Runner since Unicorns. So what we were going to do today was just sort of a get to know us, get into our favorite movies sort of episode, do a top 5. I thought that's kind of boring, so I opened it up on Facebook and asked people for suggestions as to, hey, here's a topic, do a top 5. So we're going to do a few of those off the cuff. And I'm going to pull up the first one right now. Jason asks... top 5 Juliette Lewis films. I'm not even sure I can do a top 5. He already put in Strange Days at number 3.
Natural Born Killers is terrible, but that's like the only thing I can think of her being like a big part of.
Yeah, wasn't she in Cape Fear too?
Yes, she was. I haven't seen Cape Fear though. But she was in Cape Fear. Now I feel like we have to IMDb. Oh my god.
No IMDb. I'm just gonna say that we're gonna do a top 3 on this one instead. So Jason, I'm gonna go Natural Born Killers just because it's not a good movie, but it is the movie that everyone knows her for. Cape Fear because it's an awesome movie. She might not have starred in it, and then you put Strange Days at number 3, and I'm gonna let that one go at that point.
She is that kind of actress though, that like she's in stuff that can be good, but she's in far more that isn't.
Yeah.
And at this point, she's more known for just being like that weird lady.
All right. John asks, top 5 Schwarzenegger movies.
Oh,
so that's
a hard topic because you could be like the best Schwarzenegger movies are some of the worst movies ever.
I think we can do it though.
Top 5.
Number 1 is gonna
It's clearly that one where he was a clone of himself.
No.
I'm just trying to be funny. Oh, I forgot what that movie's called.
No, if we're going bad as good, you have to go bad as good.
Top 2 in what order are you doing?
We're going back to bad as good. And if we're doing bad as good for Schwarzenegger, number 1 is Jingle All the Way.
Oh yeah.
No question.
Oh yeah. Is it or is Junior?
But if we're doing actual top 5 best,
Conan's new.
Conan's number 1. Maybe.
What's funny is he barely knew the language in Conan, right?
Correct.
But he's more like, because you would think in terms of total film, you'd be like Terminator and Terminator 2. He's more of a character in Conan than he is in either of these.
Yeah.
He's more in 2. If you're going like his performance, Terminator 2 over Terminator, but I think Terminator's they're both excellent movies. T2 might be one of the best sequels ever, but Terminator's a better, like, everything in Terminator's original, and 2, it's an addition.
Back to Conan, you've got what should be a shit sword and sorcery, no different from anything else, that's elevated by the performance of Arnold, and a soundtrack from Basil Poledouris that is a top 5 soundtrack ever written for a movie. So I might have to put... We'll talk about the list.
I think Conan belongs near the top of that list unless we come up with something else, just because he's actually a character in that. He's not just a force like he is in Terminator 1. And then in Terminator 2, he's more of a character, but it being a sequel, you need Terminator for that to make sense.
But Terminator 2 is probably a better story.
Yeah.
Terminator 2 has the better special effects. It's better in almost every way.
Yeah, and you're talking Arnold movies. He's not a feature in the first movie. He's the iconic element of it, but that movie's about Linda Hamilton.
So
more so than 2 is.
All right, so top 3 so far, rough draft: Conan, Terminator 2, first Terminator's number 3.
Yeah. Do you bump Terminator again by virtue of him being a character in it for Predator?
Well, Predator's on the list, but it's probably number 4.
I want to put up there, and this is partly because of it being schlock. Total Recall is one of the best Arnold Schwarzenegger movies because it's everything that Arnold movies are. Overly violent, ridiculous machismo, plot that just seems to be smart but goes all over the place.
Can I throw out a dark horse candidate for this list?
What?
End of Days.
I don't think I've watched End of Days, and I wanted it because it's like bad at it. No, I've seen End of Days because Gabriel Byrne's good.
Gabriel, he's phenomenal. It's a
and Kevin Pollak's an asshole in that movie.
Arnold dies in it, right?
I believe
at the end he actually dies. It's got some legitimate creepy moments.
That's like is that the only time he's done like actual like close to actual like horror? I mean, his stuff's always actiony, but
probably.
But yeah, no, End of Days isn't bad, and then you've got like
Last Action
I would say
Hero.
Last Action Hero is good because it's a nudge wink wink to himself.
Almost in the same way.
But it's still a bad movie. That's in the kindergarten cop bracket. That's in the West Coast. That's in the Western division of the good schlock.
If we want to do nods to themselves, I have to throw this isn't really part of this list or anything, but kudos to Michael Keaton for first doing Birdman
and then playing
Vulture.
Yeah.
So yeah, kudos to Keaton. But back to
Arnold. No, because I think you got two brackets. I think you've got like you just enjoy it, or he's actually giving a good performance as far as he can go as a limited actor. But no, I would say like Conan is probably like him doing it serious before everybody realized he's like better off kind of spouting one-liners and being funny. Because at the top of that, he might be Total Recall and Running Man.
Yeah,
just one-liners per second, one-liners per moment on screen.
But at one point, did it jump the shark? Because when you had Predator, you had a legitimately...
Predator is serious throughout.
But it has those one-liners. And then you get to a point where it's more one-liners than it is movie.
Yeah. If you're
like
going
Commando.
If you're going best performance, I would have to say your top two are Predator and Conan in any order, however you're going to pick.
Do we want to put Predator above the Terminator movies?
His performance, like him actually acting, and he's a character. He's like Dutch has a name. He's not just the T-800. But I'm thinking in terms of performance, I feel like those two are up there. You like him more in Terminator, but he's awesome in Predator. You remember Predator more for the fact that like you've got the meme handshake and the Predator in Carl Weathers' arm. The prosthetic rubber Carl Weathers.
It's a tight movie though. I think it gets a lot of shit for being kind of not really over the top, but just your typical movie from that time. But you've got your big setup in the beginning where they go in and they wipe out everybody in the village, and then they get picked off one at a time, and then there's a huge period where it's just a lot of suspense and build up until the final fight with the Predator.
This may derail us a little bit. Do you think that movie would have succeeded if he weren't attached to it? Because you got to think about it. Alien succeeded, and Sigourney Weaver was an unknown. But Predator was attached to Arnold, who was starting to be like rise crazy. Do you think that movie's premise was enough that or do you think it would have been a cult movie? Like it would have been like you got to see this movie if it didn't have him and Carl Weathers in it.
Yeah. It would have been a cult movie. I think that over time it would have
succeeded in its own way.
I think without a big action star, it would have almost been lumped into the same category as The Thing, where it could have been more of a horror than it was an action, depending on how you handled it.
I was just thinking, I'm like, if you put Kurt Russell in the role of Dutch, like you would never think he would be able to stand up to the Predator. You needed a guy
unless you outsmarted him.
Yeah, you needed a guy who was gigantic like that. Like you would have had some, fresh off of like Muscle Beach guy in that role because you needed a big guy against the Predator.
So top 5.
I think I'm not going to order. I'm going to say definitely Conan, Predator, T2.
First Terminator.
I can't put him in there for First Terminator.
Okay.
For best performance, he's just a force in that movie.
But we are just talking Schwarzenegger movies.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be Terminator. Put both of them in.
Is it being too hipster to put End of Days on that list?
No, because I think End of Days until he did that one that was post 9/11.
Oh, fucking Collateral.
Yeah.
Collateral Damage.
Collateral Damage. Yeah. End of Days was, I think, the first time in a while that he had done something and everybody's like, oh, he's trying to be serious and not just trying to put out a movie.
And it worked.
Because like The Sixth Day was the last thing he'd done. Like, I know I joked about it at the beginning, but I think it was the last thing he had done and people were like, are we kind of done with Arnie action movies?
Sixth Day.
And then then he did that, and then I think he won the recall election, and then he just couldn't be in anything.
because there was that period where you had Eraser, you had
I think
Lies.
Eraser, True Lies is good in that bad good movie. But no, you have True Lies, you have Eraser, and then I think those two were like, okay, I think we've hit peak Arnie, and then he did 6th Day, and that was kind of like, okay, we're done with this guy.
And then Collateral Damage was just terrible.
Yeah, and then he just moved into politics, and then he came back and does shit again.
And I'm okay with putting him in the order that we just mentioned him too. If we have to order it, because we do.
I think if you have to order it, Conan goes at the top, even though it's not my personal favorite, just because he didn't really know English. He was just given lines in that movie to say, and I think that's a part of everything in all the stuff in the stew makes the stew, and even if one thing out of it's not good on its own. Everybody involved in making that movie put it together well.
And kudos for surviving anything involving John Milius.
Okay, that was a good one. Okay, do we have another
All right,
one?
yes. All right, looking at the list. Let's see here. Let's see. Well, Brian was asking about video game adaptations, but I'm going to hold off on that one because we are going to do that at some point as its own topic. So I don't really want to get into that one right now.
There's plenty to go into on that one anyways. Just, is it possible? Is it worthwhile?
Yeah. All right, let's see here. David asks, Tom Hardy's top 5 roles. Not Bronson.
Do you go I haven't seen it.
He's good as Bronson. Bronson's a boring movie because it's an hour and a half of Bronson being Bronson.
Yeah. Do you want to put Dunkirk at the top already? I don't know, because Dunkirk to me is an ensemble movie.
It is, but you're talking Tom Hardy roles. And if you're talking the ability to just emote with your eyes, he can do more with his eyes in that movie than most people can do with...
Are you restricting this to film? Because I know you're big into Peaky Blinders. Should we restrict it to films? Because I can't talk about it. Should we restrict it to films?
You know what? Let's let David actually answer this, because he then replied, movies or television.
Oh, okay. So you're going to go, what, Peaky?
Peaky's going to be on the list, but not number one. He's got this over-the-top, ridiculous persona that he loves every second of doing, and you can tell. But I'm not sure that makes it his best. Similarly, he was in Taboo, and he owns every scene that he's in, but Taboo is a lot of payoff just for the sake of almost shock. I'm sorry, a lot of setup without payoff. So that one, I'm not just going to make the top 5. What about Layer Cake?
Layer Cake is good. I was going to say I really like him in Rock and Roll as Gay Bob.
That's what I meant. Rock and Roll.
Rock and Roll, he's great as Gay Bob.
Because he shows some range.
Bane, he's great. But that movie's the weakest of those 3. But he's the reason the movie's good. But so many memes have come up about his Bane performance that it's like, it's diminished in culturally because of how much we like to make fun of it. But it was great because it's the closest to comic Bane that there's ever been,
or
in the mainstream.
Probably ever will be. Yeah,
but no, I like him in Rock and Roll, which I was watching again. Like, I think that movie's been on HBO a lot recently, and I just usually throw it on because I just like the Guy Ritchie aesthetic for those movies when I'm not even really paying attention.
As an aside, I could understand Bane. I'm not really sure where that all came from. Yes, he's talking through a mask, so it's not as clear as
I think it's just everybody thinks he sounds like an old woman. But I'd put Gay Bob, Bane as far as, and then him in Dunkirk was great because they didn't give him a lot to do. They probably put him in a gimbal in front of a green screen and were like, you're gonna do this for the entirety of your time on this film.
Let's put it number 1.
I think it should be.
Okay. Does Max even make the list?
Max? Yes. Because people like to crap on it. They're like, oh, he's not even a main character in his own movie. He never was in any of those movies.
Maybe the first one?
Yes. I watched the first one recently again, and I feel like...
Is the main character him or his partner that gets burned?
No, it's Max.
It is Max.
There's so much time spent with him and his wife.
Yeah.
That movie is overly long in the halcyon days part, before shit gets bad. And then it turns right away.
But he didn't have the budget for the bad.
No, exactly. But I mean, like, even in the world that they've created in the first movie, there's enough that it's like, okay, we get it. Like, he's got a pretty good family life for the horrible job he does. And then things turn at, like, I want to say maybe the the 4/5 mark of the movie. Not even the bottom, the back third. It's right at the end.
Not to get too off topic, but the scene at the very end where you got the guy chained to the car.
Oh, he's full max by the end of that movie.
But I feel like
you didn't get. I feel like you didn't get enough of a turn into that.
Is that where the movie Saw got that from? Was that directly aping off of that?
That might have been like a cultural osmosis thing where it probably did, but it didn't register as being stolen. You know what I mean?
All right, so we're gonna go number 1, Dunkirk, just for what he was able to do with so little.
Yeah.
Number 2, I gotta go Peaky Blinders, just because he's so into it.
Yeah.
Number 3, Gay Bob.
Gay Bob in Rock and Roll.
Just because it's something different that he also was.
It was also before he was who he is.
Yeah.
Before he became known as like, oh, he's a really good British actor.
Then Max, then Bane.
Yeah. Yeah.
That order are we good with?
I think if you want to lock that order, you might want to move Max up right under Dunkirk, just because he doesn't get a lot of he's more active in as Max, but he's just as handicapped by the way he was written, which is to the film's credit.
We'll leave that one. Yeah, we'll go with that.
I feel like when you give him less to do, or when you give him less direction, he's able to do more with it.
And he does get across a lot of just how messed up he is just through a handful of, like when he shakes his head when he's carrying Nux over his shoulder to shake everything out of his head.
A lot of stuff is like mangy, I guess would be the word. Like it's just it's kind of feral and less like refined.
Fair.
But no, he's very good in that sense. But I mean, I think as far as, off the top of my head and not looking at stuff that I know I've seen him in that I don't remember him being in, that's a good enough list right now.
Perfect. Done. Adam asks, oh, here we go. Top 5 book to movie.
I was thinking about this one. Actually. Top 5 book to movie, not in any order. I'm going to say it, Jackie Brown.
I got to leave you on that one.
I never read the book. I think it's Rum Punch. And I think the author said that he likes the movie better than his own book.
Well, if we're going to do this one, top 5 book to movie, are you going to
No Country for Old Men's going on there.
Well, are we talking, when you start talking about what's better, the book or the movie, if we're talking
I think we're just talking adaptation. I think it's something that you could get as a hardcover or paperback, as a novel and read, and that it was turned into a film.
Fine. No Country is at the top of the list.
No Country.
I would say without
The Road.
I'm not going to put The Road.
Not going to put The Road.
The Road.
They destroy some of the ambiguity in the film version.
Yeah. It's a very.
We talked about that in our first episode. That's there for people who can't walk and breathe at the same time, who somehow wandered into that movie thinking it was a sequel to The Hangover.
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, yes. What was another one I was going to say? But no, Jackie Brown was the one I was thinking of. I'm like, I haven't read the book, but I personally think it's the best Tarantino movie, just because it being based on something he didn't write, he's stuck to a narrative where he can't just do his Tarantino speeches,
and he's still got
people talk about nothing, but he's still able to put those in when he wants to. I think having a concise narrative and structuring him with that helped.
I'm okay with that being on the list. I'm not going to put a top 1 or 2.
No. I'm just saying, for me personally, if we're cobbling together like a ramshackle list, I'm going to put that on there as far as things that I like that I know are adapted.
Let's see, The Godfather.
Yes.
I've read that.
Better in film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs is the same way.
Yeah.
The movie is definitely better because it's...
That's a topic to put a pin in for later. Like, has adaptation been diminished in quality? Because I feel like a lot of the earlier stuff that was adapted is better than stuff now where it's like, no, we got to cut everything that isn't action, or we got to rewrite this because it fits what we want to do better. Things like that.
I don't know, because you go back and forth. You've got examples from modern day that are... You've got a good mix of both. Modern day, I'm going to say, as phenomenal as No Country for Old Men is as a book, the movie's that much better.
Yeah.
You've got cases like Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
The movie is infinitely better. But then there's other ones where it goes the opposite direction in all time periods.
I feel like a lot of King adaptations are good. Green Mile's excellent.
I'm going to say a lot of King adaptations are not good.
Not good?
No, there's been a lot of shit out there.
I like Shawshank better than the story.
Yeah, that's one short story.
Yeah.
The
Mist? Are you counting short stories? Are we able to count short stories?
We could do an entire episode, though, on Stephen King adaptations.
Just King adaptations? But no, going back to
just the actual question.
No countries on that list, if not at the top.
I'm gonna say number one.
Number one.
Unless we think of something else.
Jurassic Park's on there.
I like the book better, but the adaptation is such a classic movie.
I like the book and I like the Lost World book better.
Yeah.
Even though the Lost World is like this like weird bastard of Jurassic Park, the book happened. And then the movie happened, and then The Lost World, the book, is based on the movie where Malcolm didn't die in the park.
Yeah, but isn't The Lost World plot closer to Jurassic Park 3?
The Lost World's plot is the book. Now, this is just me remembering something I read maybe 10 years ago, more than that. It's so overly ambitious that they couldn't have filmed it in, 2000 something when they filmed The Lost World. They couldn't have done it back then. They wouldn't have been able to. It was just too overly ambitious in comparison.
Can I put a personal favorite on the list?
Sure.
Hunt for Red October?
I threw Jackie Brown in there.
Okay.
So do you think The Hunt for Red October is the best Clancy adaptation?
Yes.
Yeah?
Without a doubt. Jack Ryan is not supposed to be an action hero, and I think that putting Harrison Ford in that role was a bad idea for the later movies. They just became generic, run-of-the-mill political action schlock. But you've got...
Because what I remember, just off the top of my head, going off of what you're saying there, what I remember is just how, weirded out he was by how he was like, oh, we're going to have to airdrop you above the sub. And Elba was like, wait, what? What? Like, huh? I was at home on Christmas. Like, what? But yeah.
They kind of get back to that with Some of All Fears.
Yeah.
But it's not as good as...
Because at that point, Affleck's been in enough action-y stuff. And it's kind of like the... Yeah, I get where you're going with, but
Sean Connery...
Yeah.
A couple other actors.
Where they're just be Scottish, but you're Russian. Just go with it.
Do you think that behind the scenes they tried to get him to do a Russian accent and it just didn't work?
I bet the way that might have gone was they cast him. They probably cast him. They're like, we need A-list. We have the script we want here. And then they might have had a cast meeting and they were like, do you want to try to do an accent? And he probably just gave them a look. And they were just like, okay then. And that was it.
Do you know what happens when you try the opposite and force it? You get K-19 the Widowmaker.
Oh god. But yeah, I would say that's a good choice as far as a personal favorite. Because if I'm gonna throw Jackie Brown in there and having not read Rum Punch, I believe it's called, but I just I feel like that's one of those things where when we go into a Tarantino topic, I'd like to bring that up because I feel like I was talking to you earlier today about that being my hipster pick of everybody likes all of the Pulp Fiction. It's I like Jackie Brown. Because everybody likes Pulp Fiction. And Jackie Brown's a much more fun movie, even though it's longer.
I'm not going to disagree with you, but Pulp Fiction is just so masterful that at some point you can't not.
Well, it's because it's a completely original story.
All right, so we've got 4 and 5 because we're each putting a personal favorite on here.
Yeah.
As
those could be the 6 because those could be the 6, 7 asterisk ones if we need to
Sure.
So
what about Fear and Loathing?
I don't do drugs, so I can't. I like Fear and Loathing, but I know I'll never understand it. But I like it.
Fair enough.
I like it, but I'll never understand it. And a lot of that comes from the fact that this is me in high school with friends that would do stuff and would just die laughing at certain things, and I'm just yeah, it's funny because of drugs and absurdity, but they just thought it was super funny. And I was like, okay.
It's amazing too the extremes you can go to with drug-based movies. On one hand, you've got that. On the other hand, you've got Trainspotting.
Yeah, because
that's a totally different topic for another time.
I think a lot of it is the severity of the drugs involved, but also the period. Because you're talking about Hunter S. Thompson in the what was it, the 60s or early 70s?
In Vegas.
Yeah, and the whole vibe of that movie is these things could have detrimental health effects, but it's Hunter S. Thompson. That's not gonna kill him. No. And he doesn't care. He's gonna cover some stupid dirt bike race. What does he fucking care?
And besides, I would just assume that mushrooms are a lot more fun than heroin.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the severity of the drug involved. Like Trainspotting is about like heroin's fucking terrible, whereas most of Fear and Loathing is just I'm put on this assignment. I don't care how much crack can we fit into this briefcase.
I'm not even sure that that's on the list, but it's got to be. Conan's a book adaptation.
And you said that the book is just bad.
Well, it depends on the short story.
Yeah.
There's so much of it that may or may not have actually. I thought I read somewhere that a couple of those stories were even ghostwritten under Howard's name.
Oh, really? There's kind of people like, oh, he didn't copyright the character, so I'll just make a quick buck off of it.
So there's a little bit of shadiness there. Conan, it's a bunch of short stories.
You said it's a
some of them are good, some of them are not good.
Yeah.
But that's also a topic for another day. So, it's tough to not just say Cormac McCarthy is the best and just throw everything he's ever done on there.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say that if we got to do a top
but no,
five,
if you're gonna go with a McCarthy book, it's going to be
No Country. 100%. Number 2, I'm okay with Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I think in that vein, you're gonna have to have Godfather. Even if even if the book is dry, The Godfather is.
Yeah.
It's got to be on there.
What was the other one I mentioned? God damn it. Fucking. Silence of the Lambs.
Oh yeah.
No.
No, Silence of the Lambs does belong on there, but Silence of the Lambs. Well, no, that's weird when you think about. I just want to go into the making that movie because everybody remembers Silence of the Lambs. Nobody remembers Manhunter.
I remember Manhunter. I've seen both versions of that movie. I own both versions of that movie.
But like nobody really remembers Manhunter. Everybody just remembers Silence of the Lambs because it was great.
Because it was Hopkins.
And it's like people remember the second movie where everyone was recast, and then the prequel in Red Dragon because hey, here's Anthony Hopkins again, and it's like Brian Cox was that character first.
Yeah.
In a Michael Mann movie. And Michael Mann's awesome.
With the guy from CSI.
Yes. With William Peterson.
Yeah.
William Peterson was the Ed Norton character.
Fuck.
Ed Norton was the William Peterson character. That's the thing. Like, it's culturally like, oh, you remember that Hannibal Lecter is the second guy who played him, not the first guy.
Do we have to put The Shining on the list too?
Doesn't King hate that?
He does.
That's the thing, though. Is The Shining the book? Well, no, that's not the topic.
Well, hold on. Starship Troopers.
Do they both belong on there because they're so wildly different and actually better in Starship Troopers' case than the source material?
All right, I
think we should have Starship Troopers on there just to shit on people who die by lists.
And to shit on... This isn't too clickbaity, is it? This whole idea?
No. Not on the topic creator, but I'm just saying like the people who like live and die by like Watch Mojo lists and stuff like that. Like I'm gonna put Starship Troopers on there just because
I want to put it on there just to shit on the people who actually like the extreme right-wing Robert Heinlein philosophy.
Oh yeah.
Because it totally subverts that.
Yes, exactly. It belongs on there because of that. But no. I think that's our personal pick. That's going to be given that fifth spot over our 6-7 personal picks. Because fuck lists.
So 6A and 6B will be Hunt for Red October and Jackie Brown. So we're gonna go No Country for Old Men.
Yep.
Jurassic Park.
Yes.
God damn it. What was 3?
Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs. Godfather.
The Godfather. That's 4, and then 5th. What should we put 5th?
We just said Starship Troopers.
We can't count.
Starship Troopers.
Okay.
Cool. Done. All right. Going back to the list of requests. See what else we've got on here. This could be fun. Johnny asks, top 5 shitty action flicks worth watching.
Ooh. Shitty action flicks worth watching.
To also partially address Brian's question about video games, I almost think that it's worth watching Street Fighter. Just
for Raul Julia? Yes.
Raul Julia.
Yes.
The story behind it, the amount of cocaine. It was basically a big vacation over to Thailand?
Yeah, I think they
where they would lose stars for days at a time.
Oh, man.
And they would find them in brothels. It
was like 1993 Animal House.
Yeah. Yes.
What was the story of that? In that wasn't it that was it Harold Ramis had just gotten married? I can't remember who it was, but they literally forced Belushi to live with Ramis and his wife because they could not keep him on set. They're like, No, you're living with them for the shooting of this movie. But that's going off topic. But no, Street Fighter is a terrible action movie, but it's worth it just for Bison. It was a Tuesday, and
yeah, there's so many great lines. I quote this movie incessantly. I mean, quick, change the channel. Like you said, for Bison, it was Tuesday.
Yes. That movie is kind of like what you would imagine like an Asylum movie if a studio actually picked it up.
Yeah.
Before Asylum existed, you know what I mean? It's like the proto Sharknado. It's like, hey, we got a licensed property. It's selling like crazy. We're gonna make a movie, make some money on it, and it's just like, yep, say no more. Get me Jean-Claude Van Damme and Raul Julia.
You could almost just make this whole list Jean-Claude Van Damme because the hockey win.
Sudden Death?
Sudden Death, the Civic Arena. But that falls into that category.
I feel like Last Action Hero is on there because Last Action Hero is like making fun of the genre while also Scrooge McDuck swimming in the bank vault of how awesome that genre is. It's just so self-deprecating but self-referential or reverential.
It's too meta.
Charles Dance with the 8-ball eye. Charles Dance with the glass eye.
No, it's too meta. It's too self-aware to be on this list.
Yeah.
You need an actual shitty action movie that's still worth watching.
I haven't watched the Death Wish movies, and I feel like they have to be on there. Just Charles Bronson with a giant gun shooting people. Commando is on this list. Commando is on this list. How do we skip Commando on the Arnold list? Because it belongs on this list.
Yeah, we knew this coming.
Yes, Commando is an excellent, terrible action movie.
What else? This is what happens when we.
No, Commando. What else did you say beforehand? For Commando, I've
Street Fighter.
Street Fighter, Commando.
Street Fighter, Commando.
Time Cop, just terrible Jean-Claude Van Damme. Time Cop's probably the best Jean-Claude Van Damme movie in terms of like the plot's engaging enough to keep you in it. Whereas, like, Sudden Death is just crazy.
Yeah. Man. I feel like I should have 100 movies on this list.
Yeah. Do you count Rush Hour, or does Rush Hour count less as an action movie and more as, like, a buddy cop movie?
It's a buddy cop comedy. Shitty action movies worth watching. Judge Dredd.
Judge Dredd, yes.
Judge Dredd is on this list.
I knew you'd say that.
It's got enough comedy in it. I don't hate Rob Schneider in it.
Is it Armand Asante? Just hamming it up so much as Rico. You're my brother!
If we're gonna go with that sort of thing too, is Punisher Warzone a shitty action movie?
Oh yes.
Or a good action movie?
No, it's a shitty action movie.
But
Punisher
I love
Warzone's terrible.
I love it. I just finished rereading a bunch of the Ennis run of the Punisher. And it gets it right.
No offense to Ray Winstone. Would Punisher Warzone
Ray Stevenson
is it?
Yeah.
Would Warzone be one of the best movies if it were still what's his name from the Punisher?
Oh, Thomas Jane?
Yeah. If
or
it were
John
Thomas
Bernthal.
Jane.
Oh.
Did you need like Steve Dillon, Frank Castle in that? I think you need the Steve Dillon Frank Castle.
You need that monstrous Frank Castle. And I think you actually needed the less acting ability, because if you tried to act as the Punisher, not that he can't act, but he got it right with his...
For what they were trying to do. They were trying to go for gruff, like, monster Punisher.
All right. I think this is a pretty good list so far. We've got Street Fighter, Judge Dredd, Punisher Warzone. I should be writing these down. Commando.
Is that 4 or 5?
It's 4.
We do number. We work with numbers daily.
And we count by 5.
And the brain turns off.
We might have to come back to a number 5 on this one, because I'm blanking at the moment.
It's because like a lot of the movies that we have that we like that are like action based are better than the genre. Like RoboCop's kind of an action movie, but it's transcendent from being an action movie.
That's not a bad movie. I'm even hesitant to put Punisher Warzone on this. Because
no. Warzone. I watched Warzone like multiple times. It was terrible.
I really think... No, first of all, Alexi Alexander did a great job with it.
Face Off.
But it's not bad.
Face Off's terrible.
It's everything you'd expect.
I'm Castor Troy.
It's everything you'd expect out of
The
John
Rock.
Woo.
The Rock.
If you're gonna go The Rock, you got to go Con Air.
Then Rock and Con Air both have to be on this list. We have to bump something.
No, Con Air.
I think you bump Dredd for The Rock and Con Air. You need Bruckheimer trash on this list.
Is a side question. Is there actually a Michael Bay movie worth watching?
Oh, no way. No! Bad Boys, maybe. Maybe.
Oh, I forgot.
Bad Boys 1.
Damn it. Yeah. Hang on to that, because that's going to get back into another question. Because I'm looking right now at some of the other ones.
Okay.
And we're going to have to get to that. But do we have a fifth? Or do we have to come back to this one?
I think you got to put one of those Bruckheimer schlocks in there. I feel like Con Air, just because I reference it at work all the time, where I'll read like a number and I'll just be like, July 14th.
Oh no. I've got it.
What?
I've got it. Air Force One.
Get off my plane. Yes. Yes.
It is so... If there's one movie that encapsulates just whatever the fuck
What do you
was...
think? What do you think Gary Oldman's reason for doing that was? It like he'd bought a brand new house based on like doing actual movies, and he was like, you know what? I want to spring for the gold crown molding, so I'll just do this really quick.
Fair
I'll
enough.
just put on a Russian accent and fight the president. That's got to be on there because it's just
So our top 5: Street Fighter
yes.
comes in at number 1. If you can get through it, which I have
You
faith
have
in
to
you.
for Raul Julia's sake. He did that movie for his kids and then he died after.
Is it the? It's like Breaking Bad, but real life. You're doing
Yeah.
something awful to leave something behind for your kids.
Yeah.
In the end, he might have even enjoyed it.
My exposure to Raul Julia is Street Fighter and the Addams Family, and I'm gonna be mad when they inevitably make a new Addams Family movie and recast Gomez, because no, he's Gomez.
But don't you know? We're in the era where CG can bring back anybody.
Oh no. Holograms.
All right, so our top 5 was... God, we're
Street
shit
Fighter.
at this.
That's because we're not writing it down, but Street Fighter, we had Commando in there somewhere.
Street Fighter, Commando. Yeah, I'm not even going to order these at this
Yeah.
point. Judge Dredd.
Judge Dredd is weird because it gets the look from the comics like down pat, but it's just so bad. Yes, it has to be on there. The Law.
Air Force One.
Definitely. That's a great shitty action movie that we wouldn't have thought of unless we were brought, a list of stuff that's just watchable schlock.
And I guess Con Air. I think when I go back to edit this, I'm going to...
Con Air will have to be revisited when we do when we end up getting, reaching the bottom of our creative barrels and are just talking about shitty directors and their best movies.
Funny you should mention that.
Yeah.
Because...
What a segue. It's like we're professional or something.
Yeah. I was just reading it. I want to get the wording right, though, so stand by. Here we go. Ryan asks, top 5 bad movies by good filmmakers, or the opposite.
Okay, so we could kind of mix and match on this list then.
So, just putting it aside, Michael Bay, Bad Boys.
Bad Boys is his best.
Solid action movie.
Yeah.
No, but it's a decent movie. But I think I like the other one better to start with.
Yeah. Going good director making trash.
Yeah. Top of my head, Spielberg. Is it 1942 or is it Crystal Skull?
I'll read you another one because I haven't watched 1942. Is it Crystal Skull or AI?
Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Easily Crystal Skull. As far as I feel like AI gets points though because it was ambitious and it's just boring and not good. Just too on the nose, I guess. Oh
sure.
No. Crystal Skull or War of the Worlds.
Oh, Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
War of the Worlds has some redeeming features.
Some, but it's
at the end of the
we're
day.
gonna revisit Spielberg because I want to talk about the how he's on the back end of that bell curve, or that he's on the decline of career trajectory, I would say.
There's some really well done scenes in War of the Worlds. There's some parts that are actually legitimately...
The only one that springs to mind is when he kills Tim Robbins and when they lose the van at that dock. Those are the only two in that movie that I think are any worth.
All right.
But Crystal
That being
Skull
said,
with parkour doing revived Mayans.
Sure. Yeah.
Monkeys.
What's
Killer ants.
70-year-old Harrison Ford that has no business doing this?
Just fuck George.
So is this Spielberg's fault though, or is this Lucasfilm's?
Partly because of he's an enabler here. He was supposed to be the sponsor, but he was just an enabler.
All right, so that's one. Has Michael Mann ever made a bad movie?
Looking at his IMDb, from what I have seen, no. No. I have not heard great. I heard initially that Black Cat wasn't great, but then a lot of people warmed up to it watching it again.
Okay.
If you're going to argue anything that I've seen, because I haven't watched all of Thief, which I've heard is great, from what I've seen, the weakest that I've seen that he's done, that's still good as Miami Vice. But it's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's excellent.
I just assumed it was going to be bad.
No. You never watched the one the modern Miami Vice? It's good.
I saw that it was him directing it. I wanted to watch it.
He wrote the show, I believe. I'm pretty sure he was like in charge of the show. But no, as far as stuff that I've seen,
well, there's one that I have to bring up because
is it best of bad director? Or
no, this is
director?
Good. This is a favorite director making shit, and apparently turning invisible.
Oh God,
makes you immune to fire.
I want to watch it now because I know what his shtick is.
Paul Verhoeven.
But then I want to see
Hollow Man.
But then I want to see what is it, 1996 CGI Kevin Bacon.
I think it was closer face? It was closer to 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it was after Stir of Echoes, if I'm not mistaken.
You know what? Can we go back to good bad action movies really quick?
Yeah, go.
Virtuosity.
I don't know.
It's like the beginning of Russell Crowe in America, and Denzel is not yet an action star. The movie's fun to watch stupidity.
Okay. I'll grant you that, but I'm not going to say that it's good enough to get it on the list. Not over.
So you're going to go with Hollow Man for Verhoeven? I didn't know it was Verhoeven, was it?
I am 90% sure that
I've never watched Hollow Man, but I remember when it came out, everybody was like, "Oh, this is horrifying," and then everybody's like, "It's garbage."
It's
personally, I would say Showgirls, because I feel like he lost that ability to make things seem schlocky without making them schlock in Showgirls.
Okay.
Because I mean, he's got competent he's got Kyle MacLachlan in that movie, who's worked with Lynch a lot.
Yeah.
And knows weird direction.
And
but he just comes off just
but it's still
intentionally hammy, but not for a purpose.
It's a technically competent movie, though. It's not. Hollow Man's worse. That's what I'm gonna say. Hollow Man's worse.
I'll take your word for it. Showgirls is bad.
It's bad. Oh, what about someone like John Carpenter, who's had a lot of good movies, and then he does Ghosts of Mars, but John Carpenter's had some other pretty bad movies over the years.
Do you think a lot of that, though? I mean, going back to when we were talking with John, is just horror. He does a lot of horror stuff, so you're gonna come up with just a clunker of an idea every once in a while if that's the genre you're comfortable working with. Just
like the Romero stuff outweigh the bad towards the end outweighs the good.
Yeah.
You have 3 good movies.
Yeah, in that case, it's just that he stayed in his lane for most of his career. I mean, he
just didn't know what to do, and
he kind of was like, I'm really good at doing zombies. People like me for zombies. I'll just keep doing that. And it's like he did some stuff that I haven't watched, but I've heard is good. But that's still horror, but it's a little bit more creative. But his later stuff kind of felt phoned in that sense, or just out of touch for a guy who was a lot older when he was doing it in our current age.
Back to the topic, Scorsese.
I think personally Shutter Island. I think Shutter Island is something that would be seen as awesome if it were done by a first-time director or somebody, because it's very Shyamalan. It's very twist ending, and I feel like that's below a guy of Scorsese's caliber, at least in my eyes. So that's a personal value judgment there, but I don't know.
But does that make it a bad movie or just not up to his standards?
I'd have to watch it again, but I just never came away impressed by it.
Okay. At this point, I think it's a good segue into Francis Ford Coppola, because he did The Godfather Part 3.
No, his daughter did. He produced.
Oh, you're right.
Sophia did Part 3. And
fuck.
No, or did he do Part... I think she directed it and she played as the main female lead. I'd have to look that up, but I'm pretty sure that was her debut. Unless it was Coppola, like, I want to put my daughter in a movie. And then she did Lost in Translation and then kind of promptly disappeared from everywhere.
I'm going to Google that one. What? Godfather 3, 1990, American crime film. Directed by Coppola.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's up there. I think Bram Stoker's Dracula. Just because of Keanu's performance. It's overly ambitious and just maybe the 90s look, it just doesn't look.
It hasn't aged well.
Yeah.
But you still had Gary Oldman as a pretty awesome Dracula.
Yeah.
Then, on the other hand, like you said, you've got
probably the worst Keanu performance.
I'm going to Budapest.
It's like
Stop.
It's almost as if he just walked off the set for Bill and Ted and had to just change costumes. Because he's limited, but like he's in the point now in his career where everybody knows what you can get out of him and they use it to the fullest.
Yeah,
but
you've got Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, Keanu Reeves, Anthony Hopkins, Tom Waits. It's a good cast. I watched it. I think I actually own it. It's in a box somewhere.
That's something I'd have to rewatch again. But the first time I watched it, I was just like, yeah.
So we're gonna say Godfather 3?
Yeah.
Okay. What?
The black sheep of the Godfather movies for sure. As far as like respected directors, I would go for Tarantino. I would maybe go Kill Bill. Because the further I get away from like having enjoyed it and watched it, I know it's supposed to be basically grindhousey, and that's kind of why I'm not gonna say Death Proof, because I would say Death Proof is the weakest, but it's intentionally weak. It was part of a double bill of grindhouse movies. They're supposed to be crappy, but I mean, I like his newer stuff. Like I liked Hateful Eight, I liked Inglourious Bastards, Django's awesome, but I just feel like Kill Bill, more part 2 than part 1. It's kind of aging. And in that sense that, like, I just got to get through it because I watched the first part because I wanted to see, like, sword fighting and nonsense like that. And I'm wondering just because he's trying to stay too close to the genres he was trying to ape in that.
I'd have to watch it again, but because his name was at least associated with it, if we have to talk about Tarantino's worst affiliated movie, Sin City.
Sin City's terrible. And he directed a scene in it, so I guess you could shunt that into...
We could. But I think just so having those handful that we talked about is enough for doing that. And we're going to save the other topic of bad directors with a good movie, I think, for another time, because we're pushing, I mean, almost. We're coming up on an hour, so...
We're rolling. We might as well keep going with what we can.
Yeah, we've got a couple more requests.
I know we might not be finishing off a lot of these, but this is a good topic for just an episode. Of the vice versa of good with bad, good production from bad, and bad production from somebody you respect.
So thank you, Ryan. We may even have you on to talk about this with us at some point. So I will be in touch with you about that. Johnny actually had a couple of requests on here. One of the other ones he had was we're not going to get through all of this, but top 5 Mad Max characters per movie. And I don't really... It is, and I think he was doing it just to fuck with us because of the wink face that came in after that comment. So we're not going to go through all of that. That would take a while.
Both Sky Pilots count as 2 different characters.
They do, because they didn't play the same guy. Yeah. Same actor. Same fucking gyroplane.
Here's your at you. Here's your reference. Here you go.
Oh, god damn it. So we're going to skip that one. What else do we have on here? And this one we were already sort of talked about because we did dystopian stuff, but just a quick break it down, brass tacks. Anthony was asking best dystopian movies. I know we talked about a whole episode of this.
If you're going just dystopian movies, does The Road make that list?
No. I think dystopia, you have to have some sort of... There's post-apocalypse,
and then there's
which
dystopia.
We talked a lot about dystopia.
Dread is on that list.
Which one?
Dread, not Judge Dredd. Dread is on that.
Children of Men.
Children of Men, yes. Oh, it was just on the tip of my tongue. Could you put Interstellar on that?
Yeah.
Because that's a world that's falling apart.
But it's not like there's this huge government apparatus making things shitty.
No. Brazil?
Yeah, Brazil.
Brazil?
Children of Men is sort of on there. What about the William...
Children of Men definitely is on there. Because there's a ramshackle society, and it's fucking terrible.
What about the William Hurt 1984?
I was going to say, yeah.
Are you obligated?
V for Vendetta?
Good... Oh.
It's a good dystopian world.
Good dystopian world, bad movie.
It's Alan Moore. Alan Moore's terrible other than Watchmen. And the Watchmen movie's terrible because Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder, just for notes for later, one good movie for a shitty director, Dawn of the Dead.
Did he do V for Vendetta?
I have no idea.
I'd have to look. Yeah, if we had to, Dawn of the Dead, yeah.
All right, back to the other topic, though. Dystopian top 5, but true dystopia, government apparatus watching things. I'll put Brazil at number 1.
Would you go number 1? Because Brazil is just weirdo Terry Gilliam.
Yeah.
Goofiness.
What do you want at number 1?
I like Dredd because the comic and Judge Dredd shows how absurd it is, and Dredd does a grounded but still absurd version of that. I don't know if I want to put it number 1, but it's in this list.
Gattaca.
Hi. Oh,
Gattaca.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have not been able to talk about Gattaca for a long time.
You're welcome.
Gattaca belongs here.
Minority
Gattaca,
Report?
if you've never watched it, watch it. It may be on streaming. It has to be.
Even if it's not, go on Amazon and fucking buy it.
Does Gattaca belongs on the Good Ethan Hawke movie list.
That could be another topic.
No, I love Gattaca for this. From us, if this is us making a list, I love Gattaca on this list.
Do you want it number 1 over Dredd?
Yes.
All right. So you have Gattaca.
If you've ever seen Gattaca, the swimming scene and the monologue there makes you understand Gattaca.
I don't want to spoil too much, but if you're not familiar with Gattaca, it's a society where the wealthy have been able to genetically engineer their kids, the poor people can't, and it's created a rift in society. And a member of the non-genetically modified class tries to fake his way into a job that he's not supposed to be able to have.
Well, it's basically superficiality has extended to your actual personal code at this point.
Yeah.
You could go out on a date and get like a hair sample or a skin sample tested and then just be like, I'm never gonna see that person again because they have a 0.0005% chance of like passing on something. It's awesome. It's fucking great and you need to watch it.
I kind of have to put Minority Report on this only because did you see the announcement from Facebook this week?
No.
So Facebook's decided
they started pre-crime?
Kinda. Facebook now has an algorithm where they are monitoring posts to look for suicidal behavior. And they're taking... I didn't read the entire thing, but basically...
Well, that's going to go up once net neutrality ends.
Yeah. I just think it's kind of weird
Please
to have
pay the extra $5 to your provider so that you can use YouTube to listen to us.
Yes, but let's be honest here. If net neutrality was to go away, YouTube has enough money. It's Google, so it's not like there's any real risk of losing YouTube.
No, I was thinking about this the other day because I'm very doom and gloom on net neutrality. But
oh no, it's hugely important.
Yes, but I was thinking at a certain point, it's like why would a service provider not be like, we're not going to block anything, and then they just take everybody's money. Like, I feel like whoever's going to be like, we're not going to block any pages is going to make the most money in the aftermath of this possibly happening. So,
but that's a conversation for a total another time.
And people well above our intelligence level or level of care for anything other than our own selves.
Yeah. But yeah, Facebook is now monitoring for suicide, which on surface level, I'm sure some people are going to be happy about. That being said, having personally known people who have gone onto social media.
Just the idea that you could throw something up there when you're slightly drunk and trying to be humorous, and it gets flagged because you said something.
Oh, yeah. From now on, every time I share something from nihilist memes, It's possibly going to track my behavior and think maybe this guy. How is he going to tell the difference between a dark sense of humor and actual problems?
Maybe we need a new font that's just the sarcasm font.
Is it sarcastic though?
Comic Sans becomes the sarcasm font.
But I bring it up because we're actually, I know that this is a big jump from what happens in Minority Report to what I'm talking about, but we are reaching the point where computers are looking at people's behaviors and trying to determine through an algorithm what they're going to be doing and then acting on that with the possibility of them even contacting the authorities. So
stop. But no, I would put Minority Report on there. Minority Report is one of the last good Spielberg movies.
One of the better Tom Cruise movies.
Yes. Because he gets to run a lot and drive a space motorcycle at one point. Six stick. Max von Sydow is the bad guy. God. Spoilers.
All right, so what's our list right now?
Oh god. In not in particular order. We had Brazil, definitely. The movie that the studio paid so that it was never in theaters, and then Gilliam released it anyways because he was awesome like that. Dread. Gattaca, which I love being on that list because I would have not thought of it. This is why we need to have two people who, while we're drinking, maybe make one complete brain so you can remember some of these things. Minority Report, and then do we have a fifth?
Well, we brought up V for Vendetta. I'm not really sure it belongs.
Yeah,
on the list.
it's we had Children of Men, and we had 1984.
Let's cut Brazil.
And is it because it's just more absurdist?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is not. It's not actually.
Brazil kind of belongs in my eyes in that kind of Joe versus the volcano, like artsy.
Yeah.
Oppressive. Like your regular world is oppressive. Like the Brazil world is more of like a cartoony oppressive, whereas these movies that we're picking are more like these are believably oppressive. Like Brazil's artsy in that, like at the end when they're leaving. The billboards are just lined along the highway so that you can't see how shitty the actual like remaining land is. Like there's artistic bent there, whereas it's just more believable in things like Children of Men.
And then I'm going over the list right now to see if there's anything else that we missed that I really want to cover. And when I put up the post. Just as a joke, I had said a couple of examples, and one of them was the top 5 Pauly Shore movies.
Biodome, In the Army Now, Son-in-Law,
Encino Man.
Encino Man. No, honestly, if I were to do it, Encino Man would probably be his best.
What else was he in?
Pauly Shore is not dead or dead? I can't remember.
Is dead, I think. What was the other one? There was a court one.
In any era, why would anybody think a movie with Pauly Shore and not Alec Baldwin would be good?
No, you know what, John? Because it was John, our third Mike from our Halloween special. He was the one that asked if there were a top 5, and I'm not even sure that I can make a top 5 so good it's bad comedies. It's really that fucking bad of a list.
Comedies?
So. Yeah.
Comedies are hard. I feel like we should just do a video on just the shelf life on comedies. It's worse than Milk.
God damn it. Dystopian. Escape from New York.
Yes. Yep. This is why we have to ramble for a while. Yeah, Escape from New York's on there. What did we bump? We definitely bumped Brazil. I said we bumped 1984.
Yeah. It's a better book than it is a movie.
Probably could have.
It didn't need to be a film adaptation. Discussion. So, sorry, 1984. George Orwell, your book is still more
relevant than ever with our current White House.
And as good as
I
the
bet
film
most
adaptation,
people are waiting the reality show where we eliminate news medias.
And Kevin Costner rides to the rescue.
Those two are dystopian. Those two belong in the so bad it's good dystopian tier, though.
Yeah.
With Tank Girl. And
you and fucking Tank Girl. God damn it.
I would rather watch Tank Girl than watch that stupid Book of Eli again. I was flipping through channels and AMC had it on, and I'm like, oh, look, it's a bunch of grayscale and stupid Mila Kunis. Oh, I don't want to watch this garbage. God, that would be so bad.
All right.
He doesn't even act blind in any of those damn movies. The part where they're in that when they're in that that dome where they like camp, he's just he's not even pretending to be blind at all. Garbage. Watch Man on Fire if you want to watch trash Denzel.
We could talk about that another time and how it looks more like a Nine Inch Nails music video than it does a real movie. But that's Tony Scott.
You know what we need to do? We need to do best 5 Tom Hanks movies.
That's going to require some thought. And we can, you know what, we're in an hour.
Tom Hanks movies.
We are at 1 hour. I think we're just going to call it here. At some point, we will come back for a part 2.
Yeah, send in your topics because we're creatively bankrupt and we need your input to stay relevant to you who actually listen to our nonsense. Thank you. We love you.
And on that note,
I think this is a good thing to get like our creative the sludge within our head going again, because there's a lot of stuff that I think we could probably delve deeper into in full length, and even just kernels that we kind of brought up that we could jump into elsewhere. But yeah, so submit ideas. That you might want to hear. I mean, if you're willing to listen to us talk about what we wanted to talk about for the first handful of episodes, we're open to seeing if there's something that you guys want us to broaden our horizons on, because we're pretty dour and we like to talk about sad things.
And on that note, I just want to thank everyone who did send in a comment for a comment of what you'd like to hear us talking about. Keep those ideas coming, and we'll address them at some point. Thanks for listening. We will see you again soon. Not see you. This is a podcast. You'll hear us again soon.